The following is the entertainment montage of heavyweight boxing's greatest mystery. The man of the shadows in the 1950s, Sonny Liston, is the scariest boxer ever. Time has been both kind and unfair to his legacy. On one hand, his devastating power is well documented and touted today. On another hand, history seems to have forgotten how good of a boxer he was, which only made his power and attributes all the more terrifying. It is widely known that Liston's actual age was up in the air during his career, in particular his time as champion. We can only ever wonder what would happen if he'd gotten his chance as a young man, considering how great he was with age. Regardless, today is all about deciding the best career year for the Big Bear. If the Patterson fights had taken place in the same year, that would easily be the winner. I say that to say this: despite the Patterson duology being listed at his best, it won't play host to being his best year. For me, it's between 1959 and 1960. And I'll say off the jump that 1959 is not taking the cake. Here's why. In 1959, Liston fought 4 bouts and won them all before the final bell. 3 in particular draw my interest. The first was Sonny's encounter with the similarly avoided Cleveland Big Cat Williams, in which the Big Bear stopped Cleveland in 3, establishing himself as the lone monster of the division. The second match was against Cuban heavyweight champion Nino Valdez, who tussled with such notable names as Ezzard Charles, Archie Moore, Zora Foley, and Eddie Machen, to name just a few. Liston knocked him out in 3. The final match was against German contender Willy Besmanov, another Who's Who challenger, who'd taken on the similar likes of Archie Moore, Zora Foley, Eddie Machen, and George Chuvalo. On top of facing those 4, with the exception of Machen, more than once, Willie was also one of the early career challengers for the rising youngster Cassius Clay. Sonny got him out of there in 6. Good year, but wait until you hear about 1960. 5 fights on the year, all but one ending by stoppage. Sonny stopped Howard King in 7 after initial resistance and would square him away 4 rounds faster the next year. He finished Cleveland Williams 1 round sooner in their rematch. Former Floyd Patterson title challenger Roy Harris fell in 1. Contender Zora Foley was conquered in 3. Finally, Eddie Machen took Sonny the distance in what may be the most impressive win on the year. They were ranked 1 and 2 in regard to challenging Floyd Patterson, and Machen put on a show in which he stayed on the move against the plotting Big Bear. He also complained of illegal medication that Liston's corner may have used to blind him. Does this sound familiar? Almost as if this fight was the prototype for Sonny's shocking upset at the hands of Cassius Clay years later. I've heard around the block myself that this fight was the basis study for Clay's effort against Liston. Ultimately, Liston won on all cards and continued to demand a shot at the champion, Floyd Patterson. And that's just what he would get 2 years later. So obviously 1960 gets the nod, considering the name Sonny added to his resume. Williams, Foley, and Machen were 3 of the best the late 50s had to offer, especially considering how Floyd Patterson's management kept their champion as far away from them all as they could. Liston rose through the ranks the hard way en route to his showdowns with Floyd, which we are well aware of that he dominated. All this from the greatest heavyweight shadow of the 50s, who would perhaps never get a fair shot at having a prime due to his age conundrum. It is widely theorized that the Liston who fought the man who would become Muhammad Ali was in his late 30s to early 40s, having never enjoyed being a young champion. Making matters worse was that he entered the golden age 1970s even older, before suffering a tragic and premature end to his life. So it's my job to pose the question of how things would have went if the Big Bear had not met his end so early on. Just how would the 1970s heavyweight division have turned out if Sonny Liston were around? Find out next time, and stay frosty.